My son stood in my kitchen, looked me straight in the eye, and said, "You raised us, Mom. That was your job. Don't expect anything now." Those words didn't just hurt, they changed everything. He didn't know that 3 months earlier I had signed over the deed to my house, not to him, not to his brother, to Maria, the woman who actually showed up when I needed someone. And when he lost his apartment and showed up with his belongings expecting to move into what he thought was still my home, that's when things got interesting. My name is Claire, and I'm 72 years old. I'm speaking to you from Portland, Oregon, where I've lived for over 4 decades. Welcome back to Ashes of Inheritance, where the people everyone underestimates turn out to be holding the one card that matters. Before we go any further, I'd love to know where you're watching this from. Drop your location in the comments below, and if this story resonates with you, please subscribe to the channel. What I'm about to share isn't easy to talk about. It's about the difference between the family you raise and the family you choose. I married young, 23 years old, fresh out of secretarial school, completely in love with Robert Henderson. He worked in lumber management, and we built a life together in a modest 3-bedroom house in a neighborhood where everyone knew everyone's name. We had 2 sons. Daniel came first, then Andrew 3 years later. I gave up my job to raise them, which was what you did back then. Robert worked long hours, often leaving before sunrise. I handled everything at home: the cooking, cleaning, doctor's appointments, parent-teacher conferences, birthday parties, late-night fevers, homework struggles, teenage heartbreaks, all of it. I loved being a mother. I poured everything into those boys. Daniel wanted to play hockey. I took on alterations work from home, staying up late hemming pants for neighbors. Andrew needed a math tutor. I worked weekend yard sales selling family heirlooms to pay for it. When they wanted college, Robert and I took out loans we'd spend years repaying. Daniel went to the University of Washington. Andrew chose San Diego State. First-generation college graduates in both our families. We made it work, even though it meant delaying Robert's retirement by 5 years. I remember standing in Daniel's dorm room that first day, trying not to cry. "You did good, Mom," he said, hugging me. "I wouldn't be here without you." Those words meant everything. Robert died 11 years ago. Heart attack at 64. 1 minute laughing at something on television, the next clutching his chest. Gone before the ambulance arrived. The boys came to the funeral. They were appropriately sad. Hugged me. Told me they'd be there for me. Daniel lived in Seattle by then, working in tech. Andrew had moved to California, something in real estate. After the funeral, they stayed 2 days. Then work called them back. The calls became less frequent. Visits became holidays only, then not even all holidays. Years passed between seeing my grandchildren. I'd send birthday cards with $50 checks, Christmas presents carefully chosen. I'd get text messages back. "Thanks, Mom." Got it. Never phone calls, never photos. I told myself this was normal. Children grow up, move away, build their own lives. I wasn't going to be that mother who complained. I had friends who did that, and their children pulled even further away. So I kept quiet. I volunteered at the local library 3 mornings a week, joined a book club, took watercolor classes at the community center. I stayed busy. But lonely? That's exactly what I was. The house felt enormous, echoing with memories. I'd walk past the boys' old rooms, kept exactly as they'd left them, and feel the absence like a weight on my chest. I'd cook dinner and realize I was making portions for 4 out of habit. The silence was deafening. Then, 3 years ago, I fell. Stupid, really. Late October, gutters packed with leaves. I'd always handled it myself. After Robert died, I hired someone the first couple years, but it felt wasteful for something I could manage. So there I was, 70 years old on a ladder. I leaned too far, reaching for wet leaves. The ladder shifted, and I came down hard on concrete. My hip took the impact. The pain was overwhelming. My neighbor, Patricia, heard me cry out and called 911. The hospital said I was lucky nothing broke. Deep tissue damage, they called it. But at 69, recovery isn't quick. The doctor was blunt. You'll need help at home, weeks, maybe months. Can family come? I called Daniel from the hospital bed. Mom, I'm swamped, he said. I heard keyboard clicking in the background. We're launching a new product, 14-hour days. Can you hire someone? I can send money if you need it. I didn't need money. I needed my son. But I said nothing. I called Andrew. Mom, Jessica's mother is staying with us. She had surgery. The house is full for another month. There are agencies for this. Professional caregivers. Probably better anyway. Professional caregivers. Probably better anyway. Translation: You're not our responsibility. That's when Maria Rodriguez entered my life. The agency sent her the day I came home. 54 years old, a widow, 20 years as a home health aide. From day one, something felt different. She didn't just do the job, she cared. Every morning at 8 o'clock sharp, she'd arrive, help with what I couldn't manage, medications, meals. But she also talked to me. Really talked. Asked about my life, my interests, my stories, showed me pictures of her children, told me about her late husband Carlos, who died in a construction accident 12 years back. Two widows, understanding what it meant to lose your partner. We became friends, not employer and employee, friends. 3 months later, when I'd recovered enough to not need daily help, I asked her to stay, just twice weekly for heavier cleaning and company. She agreed immediately. Those visits became what I looked forward to most. She remembered small things, how I took my coffee, my shellfish allergy, that I loved mysteries, but nothing too violent. She'd bring books she found at sales. When she made extra tamales, she'd share them. For my 70th birthday, she organized a party, invited my book club, neighbors, library friends. My sons called, but didn't visit. Maria baked a cake from scratch, decorated my house, made me feel like I mattered. That birthday was when everything crystallized. I'd raised 2 sons for decades, and they managed maybe 1 call monthly. This woman who owed me nothing showed more consistent kindness in months than my children had in years. I'm not saying my sons were terrible people. They paid bills, raised families, probably excelled at work. They just didn't think about me much. I'd become background noise, the mother who was always there, always fine, never needing anything. About 2 years ago, cracks started showing more clearly. Andrew called on a Tuesday afternoon, unusual timing. His voice carried that tone. He needed something. I'm in a situation, Mom. A real estate flip went bad. Contractor disappeared halfway through with a chunk of money. I'm stuck with an unfinished house and buyers threatening to sue. I need about $2,000 for a new contractor. $2,000. I sat processing that number. That's substantial, Andrew. I know, but Dad's life insurance left you comfortable, right? House is paid off, you're set. I'll repay you in 6 months, promise. With interest if you want. I had the money. Robert's insurance and our savings left me secure. What kind of mother refuses to help her son in crisis? I'll transfer it tomorrow. Thank you, Mom. You're saving my life. I sent $2,000 the next day, watched my account balance drop. It stung, but he was my son. That's what mothers do. 6 months passed. A year, not a dollar returned. During a Christmas call, I gently mentioned it. He got defensive immediately. Mom, I'm barely keeping my head above water. You're not struggling, are you? You've got that insurance money, no mortgage. I have 3 kids, a wife, a killer mortgage. Give me time. What could I say? He made me sound greedy for asking. 6 months later, Daniel called. His daughter needed college tuition help. We're short $15,000 for Emily's first year. She's your granddaughter, Mom. Her future. Financial aid wasn't enough. I sent $15,000. Never saw it returned. When I eventually asked, his response echoed Andrew's. Mom, you're in a paid-off house. We have mortgages, kids, expenses. This is what family does. What family does. But help only flowed one direction. Meanwhile, Maria kept appearing twice weekly like clockwork. When I caught a nasty flu, she came daily until I recovered, refusing extra pay. You're my friend. Friends take care of each other. When my water heater flooded the basement, she connected me with her nephew who fixed it at cost. No upselling. When I felt particularly low around Robert's death anniversary, she took me to lunch and let me talk for hours. I started thinking seriously about the future. I was 71, reasonably healthy, but mortality doesn't wait. What happened if I got really sick? Needed serious care? Would my sons come? Would they drop their lives for me like I dropped everything for them? I knew the answer. I'd known for a while but kept avoiding it. They'd find me a facility, visit occasionally out of obligation. I'd die surrounded by strangers while they continued their busy lives, maybe. That realization led me to James Thornton's office. He'd been my lawyer since Robert died, handled everything from life insurance to the will. I trusted him, which mattered for what I was about to do. Claire, he said when I explained my plan, I need absolute certainty you understand this. You want to transfer your house deed to someone outside your family? She is family, I said firmly. More family than blood has been. He leaned back, studying me. I'm not judging, but once you sign, the house legally belongs to Maria Rodriguez. You'll have a life estate allowing you to live there as long as you want, but ownership transfers to her. Your sons won't inherit it. You're completely clear on that? Crystal clear. He outlined every implication, life estate details, property taxes, how it couldn't be easily reversed. He warned my sons might challenge it, might be upset, that family dynamics would permanently change. What about your sons? He finally asked. What about them? This is my house, my decision. It was never theirs to begin with. He didn't push further, knew me well enough to recognize when my mind was set. All right, I'll prepare paperwork. But Claire, I'm recommending one more step. Psychological evaluation documenting your sound mind protects you and Maria if your sons challenge this. I agreed. Met with a psychologist who asked extensive questions about my reasoning, my relationships with sons and Maria, my understanding of consequences. She determined I was completely competent making this decision with full awareness. 2 weeks later, I sat in James's office with Maria beside me. He explained everything again. Before he finished, she was crying. I can't accept this, she said, voice breaking. It's too much. This is your home. It was my house, I corrected gently. You made it a home again. There's a difference. I need to know that when I can't care for myself, I won't be warehoused in some facility and forgotten. I need someone who genuinely cares. You've given me more in 2 years than most receive in lifetimes. Dignity, friendship, reasons to wake up looking forward to the day. This house is walls and roof. You made it meaningful. She tried refusing multiple times, worried about appearances, what my sons would say, whether she was taking advantage. James assured her everything was legal and proper. I assured her this was what I needed. Finally, tears streaming, she accepted. We signed papers on a Thursday afternoon in March. The house Robert and I bought 43 years ago, where I'd raised my children, holding every memory of my adult life, became Maria's. Peace settled over me, deeper peace than I'd felt in years. The uncertainty about my future, about who would care, lifted. I'd made a decision for myself. It felt right. I didn't tell my sons, no reason to. The house had never been theirs. It was mine to gift as I chose. Life continued normally after that. Maria still came twice weekly, though she now owned the place, didn't change our dynamic. I volunteered, attended book club, took watercolor classes. I'd made peace with my son's distance, stopped expecting change. Then 4 months ago, everything exploded. Daniel called on a Tuesday evening. I was making pasta when my phone rang. His name on screen surprised me. Not a holiday, not my birthday. Unusual. Mom. His voice was tight, strained. I need to tell you something. My stomach dropped. That tone never preceded good news. What's wrong? I lost my job. Company did another layoff round last week. 15 years and they just cut me loose. Severance package isn't enough, not with our expenses. I felt genuine sympathy. Losing a job after that long had to be devastating. I'm so sorry, Daniel. How are you holding up? We're stressed. Sarah works part-time at a clinic, but it's not enough. And Mom, we had to give up our apartment lease. Seattle rent is insane. Without my income, we can't manage. There it was. I knew exactly where this was heading. So we were thinking maybe we could stay with you a while. Just until I find something new. Few months, probably. The kids could know their grandmother better. You've got 3 bedrooms, just you there. Makes sense. Not a request, an assumption, a plan already made. Daniel, we need to talk about this. What's to talk about? Frustration edged his voice now. You have space. We're family, Mom. This is what family does. That phrase again. When were you planning to come? Next weekend. We've packed most stuff already. Got a storage unit for furniture, but we need somewhere to land. Next weekend. All decided without actually asking me. Without considering I might have my own life, plans, autonomy. Just assumed I'd be available, willing to upend everything because that's what mothers do. My hands trembled. I put down my cooking spoon. Daniel, there's something you need to know. What? The house isn't mine anymore. Silence. Heavy, dangerous silence. I could hear him breathing, thoughts racing. What do you mean, not yours? I transferred the deed 2 years ago. I have a life estate so I can live here indefinitely, but I'm not the owner. You gave it to Andrew? Volume increasing with each word. Are you serious right now? You gave him the house? I didn't give it to Andrew. Then who? He was shouting now. Who the hell did you give our house to? It wasn't your house, Daniel. It was mine, and I gave it to someone who earned it. What does that mean? Who earned it? Maria, my caregiver. The explosion was immediate. You gave our inheritance to your housekeeper. Have you lost your mind? She manipulated you. This is elder abuse. This is my decision. I cut him off, voice steady despite shaking hands. Made with full legal counsel and a psychological evaluation confirming my competence. Maria has been more family in 2 years than you've been in 10. I'm calling Andrew. He hung up. Within an hour, both had me on conference call, both furious. You gave our house to a stranger, Andrew demanded. She's not a stranger, and it was never your house. We're your sons, Daniel shouted. That house should have come to us. That's our inheritance. Why? I kept my voice calm, which seemed to infuriate them more. Give me one reason you deserved it. Because we're your family. You're my family when you need something, I said quietly. Where were you when I fell and couldn't walk? Where were you on holidays? Where were you when I asked about that money you both promised to repay? You're my family when it's convenient, when there's something in it for you. That's not family, that's biology. We have our own lives, Andrew said. We can't drop everything to babysit you. There it was. Babysit. As if caring about your mother was a chore, an inconvenience to resent. I never asked you to babysit me. I asked you to be my sons. There's a difference. You made your choice long ago. I finally made mine. This is insane, Daniel said. She groomed you for this, probably planned it from the beginning. We're getting a lawyer. We're fighting this. Go ahead, I said calmly. James Thornton prepared everything. I was psychologically evaluated to ensure sound mind. Full legal counsel throughout. Everything proper, legal, binding. You won't win, but waste your money trying if it makes you feel better. We'll see about that, Andrew snarled. You raised us? You're right. That was your job. What parents do. You don't get a medal for doing what you're supposed to do, and you sure as hell don't get to throw away our inheritance because we didn't visit enough. The words hung in the air. That was your job. You don't get a medal for doing what you're supposed to do. There it is, I said quietly. That's what you really think. Raising you was just a job. Something I was supposed to do. No different than if I'd been hired. I didn't mean it like that. Andrew backtracked, hearing how it sounded. Yes, you did. And you're right. It was a job. 20-something years of unpaid labor. I just gave myself a retirement package, gave myself peace of mind, gave myself someone who actually cares whether I'm alive or dead. Good luck with your lawyer. Goodbye. I hung up, turned my phone completely off. My hands were shaking, heart pounding so hard I thought I might have a heart attack. But underneath the adrenaline, underneath the confrontation, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Power. I'd finally stood up for myself after decades of bending. I called Maria, told her what happened. She arrived within 30 minutes despite it not being her scheduled day. Didn't say much, just sat with me, held my hand while I processed everything. Did I do the right thing? I asked. You did the brave thing, she said softly. That's even better. But it wasn't over. Daniel showed up anyway. The following Saturday, exactly when he'd planned, a rental truck pulled up outside. I watched from the living room window as he, Sarah, and their 2 children climbed out. He had the audacity to start unloading boxes onto my driveway. I opened the door before he could ring the bell. You need to leave, I said. Mom, come on. Don't be like this. He was trying to sound reasonable, but anger burned in his eyes. We can work something out. You can't just turn us away. There's nothing to work out. This isn't my house to offer you. Where's this Maria person? He looked past me into the house. I want to talk to her, hear her side of this scam. She didn't scam anyone, Daniel. She earned it through actual care and consistent presence. She's working right now at another client's home doing what she does best, caring about people. Something you might try sometime. Sarah stepped forward, attempting a softer approach. Claire, please. We have children. We have nowhere else to go. Can't we just talk inside? You had months to figure this out, I said, meaning every word. Daniel knew he was losing his job. You both had time to make plans, find solutions. The choices that led you here aren't my responsibility to fix. You assumed you could come because you thought I had no choice but to take you in. You were wrong. We're family. Sarah's voice cracked. I saw tears. For a moment, I almost wavered. Almost. Then act like it, I said firmly. Family doesn't only show up when they need something. Family doesn't treat you like a job they clocked out of years ago. Family doesn't calculate what they can extract from you, then disappear until the next crisis. Family shows up, not just when convenient, not just when desperate. They show up. Daniel's face flushed red, pure anger replacing any attempt at reasoning. You're going to regret this. You'll end up alone, miserable, with no one to blame but yourself. I'd rather be alone than disrespected in my own home, I said. And I'm not alone. That's what you don't understand. I have people who genuinely care about me. They're just not related by blood. Now please leave or I'm calling the police. You'd call the cops on your own son? You're trespassing on property that doesn't belong to me, so yes, I would. They left. Boxes went back in the truck. Their children looked confused and upset. I felt bad about that, but not bad enough to change my mind. I watched them drive away and close the door. Then I sat on my couch and cried. Not from sadness, from relief. From the release of finally standing up for myself after a lifetime of being taken for granted. Maria came over again that evening. She brought soup she'd made, sat with me while I ate. We didn't talk much, didn't need to. Her presence was enough. They'll probably try to fight it legally, I said eventually. Let them try, she said. You did everything right. They have no case. She was right. The lawyer calls came next, exactly as expected. Andrew hired an attorney who sent threatening letters about undue influence, mental competency challenges, exploitation of vulnerable elderly. All the predictable arguments. James Thornton handled it beautifully. He responded with a psychological evaluation, documentation of the entire process, proof I'd acted with full awareness and proper legal counsel throughout. The attorney tried arguing Maria had manipulated me, but there was no evidence because it hadn't happened. Every interaction we'd had was documented, first through the agency, then through our friendship. There were witnesses. My book club friends could testify to our genuine relationship. My neighbors had watched our friendship develop naturally over years. The threatening letters cited cases of caregiver exploitation, demanded the deed transfer be reversed, threatened court action. James responded to each one methodically, clinically. He included testimony from my psychologist, medical records showing I was healthy, competent, of completely sound mind, bank statements proving Maria had never accessed my accounts, never asked for money, never pressured me financially. He included statements from neighbors. Patricia next door wrote about how she'd watched Maria care for me after my fall, how she'd seen our friendship blossom, how she'd witnessed Maria refusing extra payment multiple times. My book club friends wrote about meeting Maria at my birthday party, how genuine our connection appeared, how Maria clearly cared about me as a person. The lawyer kept pushing for 6 weeks, sent increasingly aggressive letters, demanded meetings, threatened to depose me, to depose Maria, to take everything to court. Then suddenly silence. The letters stopped. No more calls. Nothing. James called me on a Wednesday afternoon. "They've dropped it," he said. Andrew's attorney probably told him the truth. "They have no case. You were evaluated. Everything was done properly, and there's no evidence of manipulation or undue influence. They'd be throwing money away pursuing it." "So it's over?" "It's over. The house is Maria's, legally and permanently. Your sons can't touch it." I felt a weight lift that I didn't even realize I'd been carrying. The legal threat had been hovering in the background, a low-grade anxiety I'd been living with. Now it was gone. But so was something else. The phone calls from my sons stopped completely. Not just reduced, stopped. No more texts, no more occasional "how are you" messages. Nothing. Radio silence. I waited for the grief, waited to feel the loss of my children, the finality of severed relationships, waited for regret to creep in, for doubt about whether I'd done the right thing. It never came. Instead, I felt lighter, like I'd been carrying weight so long I thought it was just part of me. And now I'd finally set it down. The weight of obligation, the weight of waiting for them to care, the weight of hoping things would change. I stopped checking my phone, hoping for their names on the screen, stopped composing texts I never sent, stopped rehearsing conversations where I explained myself, where they finally understood. If you're watching this and you've stuck with me this far, thank you. If this story is resonating with you, if you've felt this kind of pain from people who should love you, please hit that subscribe button. You're not alone in this. None of us are. Maria noticed the change in me. "You seem different," she said one afternoon while we were having coffee in my kitchen. Our kitchen, technically, but it still felt like mine, like ours. "I feel free," I told her honestly. "For the first time in years, maybe decades, I feel free." She smiled, understanding without needing explanation. We talked about it enough over the months. She knew what my son's rejection meant, how it hurt, but also how it clarified things. "You gave them everything," she said. "Your time, your money, your energy, your life, and they took it all as their due. You don't owe them anything more." She was right. I'd given my sons everything a mother could give, sacrificed my career, my dreams, my financial security, taken out loans for their education, sent them money they never repaid, shown up for them repeatedly while they couldn't be bothered to show up for me. Life continued. Maria and I fell into new rhythms. Twice weekly visits became 3 times weekly, not because I needed care, but because we enjoyed each other's company. She started bringing her daughter sometimes, a lovely woman named Sophia, who worked as a teacher. Sophia would tell me stories about her students, show me pictures her kids had drawn. I met Maria's son, Miguel, who worked in construction like his late father. He came over one Saturday to fix a loose board on my porch steps, refused payment. "You're family now," he said simply. That word, family, from someone who had no biological obligation to consider me such. Thanksgiving approached, my first without even the pretense of my son's calling. I prepared myself for sadness, for that hollow feeling of holidays alone. Maria called me on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. "What are you doing Thursday?" she asked. "Nothing special. Probably make a small turkey breast, watch some television." "No," she said firmly. "You're coming to my house. Sophia is cooking. Miguel and his wife will be there with their kids. We have plenty of room. You're coming." "Maria, that's your family time." "Your family," she interrupted. "Stop arguing and be there at 2 o'clock." I went, walked into Maria's modest home that Thursday afternoon, and was enveloped in warmth. The thee of roasting turkey, the sound of children laughing, Spanish and English mixing in conversation. Sophia hugged me at the door. Miguel's kids called me Abuela Claire, a title that made my eyes sting with tears. We ate until we were stuffed, told stories, laughed. Sophia asked about my watercolor paintings, genuinely interested. Miguel asked about Robert, about what he was like, listening intently to my memories. His wife wanted to know about my book club, what we were reading. They made space for me at their table, not out of obligation, but out of genuine warmth. I wasn't the elderly woman they felt duty-bound to include. I was someone they wanted there. That's when it hit me fully. The difference between being wanted and being obligated. My sons had seen me as an obligation for years, something they had to manage, had to deal with occasionally, had to keep in their peripheral vision out of duty. Maria's family wanted me there, saw me as someone who added something to their gathering, not someone who required accommodation. I went home that evening feeling full in ways that had nothing to do with food. I'd spent Thanksgiving surrounded by love, real love, the kind that shows up, that makes space, that celebrates your presence. It's been 4 months now since Daniel tried to move in. 4 months since my sons told me raising them was just my job. 4 months since I chose myself. I haven't heard from either of them. No calls, no texts, no emails. Complete silence. I imagine they're telling their version to friends, wives, maybe even my grandchildren. The ungrateful mother who gave away their inheritance to a stranger. The selfish woman who turned her back on family. Let them tell whatever story helps them sleep. I know the truth. I was a good mother, maybe too good. I gave until there was nothing left to give, and they learned to expect it as their right. They learned my love was unconditional and unlimited, and I never taught them about reciprocity, about mutual respect, about showing up. That's partly on me. I enabled it by never setting boundaries, never saying no, never demanding they treat me with basic dignity. But I'm teaching them now, even if the lesson comes decades too late for our relationship to recover. The house feels different now, lighter, somehow. Maria and I converted Daniel's old room into an art studio for my watercolors. Andrew's room became a proper guest room, where Sophia sometimes stays when she needs a quiet weekend. The museum to my son's childhoods is gone, replaced by spaces for actual living. Maria officially lives here now. We made that decision 2 months ago. She sold her smaller place and moved in. We're housemates in the truest sense. She uses the master bedroom, while I prefer my smaller room. We share cooking duties, cleaning, everything. It's companionable, comfortable, like what I imagine having a sister would be. I'm 72 years old, could have 5 years left, could have 20. Nobody knows. But I know how I'll spend whatever time remains, surrounded by people who choose me, who value my presence, who show up not because they have to, but because they want to. Maria's family has become mine. Sophia calls just to chat about her day. Miguel stops by to check if anything needs fixing. The grandchildren draw me pictures that now cover my refrigerator. Artwork from kids who actually know me, who look forward to seeing me. When my Mai comes, I'll go knowing I stood up for myself, knowing I wasn't just a job someone had to do, knowing I was loved genuinely by someone who had zero obligation to love me. My sons might show up at my funeral. They might not. Either way, it won't matter. I'll be surrounded by the family I chose, the family that chose me back. Blood doesn't entitle anyone to your dignity. That's what I learned. You can love someone and still refuse to let them disrespect you. You can honor the role you played in their lives while acknowledging they don't honor the role they should play in yours. I gave my house to the person who made it a home. I gave my peace to myself, and I have absolutely no regrets. That's my story. That's my truth. And I'm finally, completely at peace with it.